Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I got a lot of viewer requests recently about palm vein door locks. These are door locks where you lift up your hand and it reads the veins in your hand to identify you and unlock the door. And just as I was getting all of those inquiries, I got in this door lock from TCL. This is their D2 door lock that uses that palm vein technology. So I hooked it up and set it up on my front door, and it actually works pretty well. You just put your hand up to it, it reads the hand, and it lets you in. And if you use a different hand, it will reject you unless that hand is programmed into the door lock. So we're going to take a closer look at this door lock and what it's all about in just a second. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that TCL sent this to the channel free of charge. However, they did not review or approve what you're about to see before it was uploaded. No other compensation was received, and all opinions are my own. So let's get into it now and see what this door lock is all about. Now, the price point on this comes in at around $160, give or take. There's often coupons that you might find when you check out, so be on the lookout for that. Now, this is a full deadbolt replacement lock, which means it replaces the inside and the outside of your locking mechanism. There are many products out there that work with your existing deadbolt, but not this one, so you will need to update your keys, and this still does have a key option. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of disappointed that it does, because the physical key here is the least secure part of this locking mechanism, and there's no way to make the key component an optional component. So keys are easily pickable, and this has a regular key on here, as you can see. So just be aware of that. But there are a bunch of different ways to unlock this beyond the palm vein and the physical keys. So you also have a keypad option on here. You program those with the app that we'll take a look at in a little bit. They also have two of these little keyfobs that they include in the box as well. And you can assign these to individual users. And when they walk up to the door, they just have to tap this on the front of the keypad to be let in. And then you can use the app to unlock the door as well. So lots of different ways to get into your house with this thing. Now, this does rely on a 10,000 milliamp hour rechargeable battery, and that battery is charged via USB-C. If the battery dies and you're stuck outside, there is a USB-C port on the outside, and what you do is attach a power bank to that. Just about any power source that has a USB-C output will work. And then you can use the lock temporarily to get yourself inside, and then you can charge the battery. Of course, you could also use the physical keys to get in, which is maybe one reason why they left the physical option on this product. TCL says that rechargeable battery will last about 8 months before it needs to get plugged in again, but the battery longevity will vary based on how often the door is used. So you might see less battery life or more depending on how active that door is. The battery is rather large, so it will take a while to charge, so your door will be offline for a few hours until that battery gets fully charged again. A lot of the door locks that I've looked at in the past use AA batteries, which of course swap out a lot quicker than this one. I found the installation process on this to be quite easy. I got it installed in less than a half an hour, and that included taking my old lock off the door and replacing it with this one. The only issue I ran into is that the locking mechanism has two different lengths to it. You have to twist it to extend it out. I needed to have the longer length to it, just given where the hole was for my deadbolt. But after I did that, everything aligned up properly and it was installed without much issue. I did note that the build quality of this didn't feel as solid as my old Schlage lock that I was replacing. It's got a lot of plastic to it. Once everything is installed, it feels pretty sturdy. It is IP55 rated for outdoor use, so it's waterproof, but I would have liked a more hardier locking mechanism that would give me a little more confidence. Now, the lock is controlled via TCL's Home app. This works on iPhones and Android phones. The lock needs to be connected to Wi-Fi in order to work. It only supports 2.4 gigahertz networks. One thing that I recommend people do is connect your IoT devices like this one to a guest network so they're isolated from the rest of the devices in the home. It's a concern just because all of these different devices are on the internet and they're kind of under control of the company as opposed to being under your direct control and supervision. So a guest network is often, in my opinion, the best place to drop these things off on. And mine is on my special network that I set up for devices in the home. My one gripe with the app here is that it requires you to type in a PIN code to access the lock, which is fine, but I would have preferred that there be an option for Face ID or Touch ID on the iPhone or some of the other biometrics that Android phones support. But once you get in, it's a pretty simple operation here. So right now the door is locked. If I hold this down, the door will unlock. So I can do my locking and unlocking via the app here. It also supports Google Home and the Amazon ecosystem. You can set those things up through the app here as well. So there are some ways to integrate it with your existing home system, but it doesn't work at the moment with Apple HomeKit, but I'm sure there are ways to shoehorn it into your HomeKit environment. Now, as far as setting up unlocking, you do that through the user management system here. And what you do is you can set up different types of users here. So I've got my administrator account here with a Palm Vein registered, a password registered, and a card registered. My wife here has her Palm registered on the system here. And what I can do is jump into the kid account here and then add a Palm Vein. And so what happens is you go outside, you get your app ready, and you then have the lock scan your hand to register your Palm Vein inside the lock. TCL says these Palm Vein biometrics are not sent back to them. There's no way to independently verify that, but they claim it all stays on device and doesn't go back to their mothership. Likewise, I can also add a password or a card to this, and of course the user can use all three. It'll store a maximum of 50 Palm Veins across all of the users that are stored on the device, along with 50 codes, but that should be enough to let people in. One thing you can do with these is have them be short duration. So for example, if you've got like an Airbnb or something, you can set up what they call a period password, which will let you set up a password here for a couple of days and then have it expire. So that's a useful thing that you can set up. Additionally, they have something called a duress password. And what that means is that if somebody is in duress and they use the duress password, the door will unlock, but it will also send you a notification to let you know that somebody's in trouble. Now, you can also revoke these digital keys. So for example, if my kid's password got out, I can jump into kid here, go to their password, and then just click on delete. And after it's deleted from the lock, that password will no longer work. You can also revoke the little RFID cards here too. However, you can't revoke the physical key, so you'll definitely want to keep these out of the hands of people you don't trust. But it's nice to see, like many other products like this, there are digital keys that can be assigned or revoked just through the app, and this will work anywhere so long as your lock is on the Wi-Fi. One other thing you can do with this is if somebody's at the door and you got to let them in really quick, you can set up a one-time password. And this will let you generate one-time password every 10 minutes. Once it is used, it's immediately erased. So you can let somebody in the door one time without having to worry about that key password getting out. But of course, if you have access to the app here, you can very easily just unlock it when they get to the door using the app and not have them use anything at all. So all of this stuff seems to work pretty nicely. The only thing I would have liked to have seen here is a key that works at certain times of day. That's something one of my other door locks has. So if you have somebody who comes to walk the dog, for example, on a certain schedule, you can allow them into the house just on that schedule and not on the days when they're not supposed to be walking the dog. This does not allow that. It just has a length of time that you can assign to that person, but not a schedule. Now you'll notice here there's a thing for Home Assistant. This is not the popular application that many of you use to manage your home stuff. It's something else. So for example, you can have the Home Assistant inside your TCL app send reminders if somebody is not home by a certain time. So that's what that reminder will do. And then in here, you also get a summary of all of the events that have taken place. Additionally, it does keep a log of everything that happens on the door lock here. So if we go over to events, you can see the full readout of everything that happened on my door here over the course of a day. Now, this does have a doorbell on it, and if somebody rings the doorbell, you will be able to hear it inside the house. It's pretty loud. The only issue, though, is that you can't talk to somebody through the door lock like you could through a Ring camera or similar products. So you'll get a doorbell, you'll get a notification of a doorbell, but there's no way to interact with the person standing there like you could with a camera. So if you were thinking about getting this instead of some other smart doorbell, this won't get you all the way there, but it does have a rudimentary doorbell that will work, but you just can't talk to anybody through the app here. So that'll do it for this look at the D2 Pro door lock. I was very impressed with how well the palm reading was on it, at least for palms that have been registered with the door lock. Different angles seem to work. You just walk up to the door lock, it detects your presence, it lights up, you hold your hand up, and it just beeps you in. Now, it does take a little bit longer to reject a palm than to accept one that it knows, which I guess is a good thing. I did try other people's hands. It hasn't let somebody in that doesn't belong in the house just yet. So far, so good on that. And you do have to register every palm, so you may want to do both of your hands in case you're sometimes coming in with a different hand occupied before you try to get to the door. But it's a very quick and easy way to unlock your door. You don't have to take your phone out or do anything else. Just hold your hand up, and it seems to let you in just about every time. That will do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.